So we'll pass off now to Bob Kaufman. I'll let you introduce yourself to some degree from vector control. I think it'll be a very different sort of aspect of the story.
Well, my name's Bob Kaufman. I'm with Santa Clara County Vector Control. I came along with Vector Control, I'm not sure what year you left us in, but I started in 1989, so I've been there nearly 19 years. I'm going to talk mostly about roof rats and nori rats and a little bit on the house mouse. Most of it's going to cover the roof rat because most of the problems that you're having in your homes are going to be the roof rat. So let's go to the next slide. What is vector control? Vector is any organism that can spread disease to people. So as you see on there, mosquitoes like this West Nile virus. You have spiders, black widow may be infected by it. It's about the only spider we really have to worry about in this area. We have rats. That's the roof rat right there. And of course ticks with Lyme disease. If you get a tick bite or something, you can take it to our office and we can identify the tick for you. If it is Ixodes which is the Lyme disease tick, then we can give you information on how to send it to the health lab to have it tested. And it doesn't cost anything from us, it costs you a little bit to go to the health lab. Our purpose is to help protect the health and safety of the residents in Santa Clara County. When we go out to people's homes, we're doing inspections, and we'll go more into that. Rodent control and prevention is why I was asked to come here to help explain how to get rid of the rat problems. Topics that we'll cover are what types of rats, the control of the rats, and the prevention of the rats. Okay, types of rodents. The nori rat, as we've heard, the sewer rat or the wharf rat, very good swimmer is in the picture up there on the top left. Mostly you're going to find him, you have a broken lateral coming from your home, which is the sewer line going out to the street if you're not on septic. A lot of times they'll be around sometimes like grease bins around restaurants and stuff sometimes. They burrow into the ground normally. You'll see a nice clean tunnel. Their droppings are a little rounder, a little more blunt. I like to say the difference between them and the roof rat is the roof rat kind of squeezes at the end. The roof rat, he's a little more agile than the nori rat. He's not as robust, he's going to be more slender, more agile. The reason why everybody calls him the roof rat is because he's so agile and he's usually in the attic. I've gone to people's homes where I think we have roof rats in the attic and I think we have nori rats underneath the house. And then I show them where the roof rat's going from the attic to underneath the house. So they don't have to be in the attic. They can live underneath the house. They'll live underneath like where the furnace goes under. They'll live underneath your bathtub on the first floor where the drain pipe goes in. And when your back's leaning against it, you'll hear a scratching noise there. That could be them nesting right there. But, and of course we have the house mouse. Usually a house mouse is going to be confined to the house. It's going to be not necessarily a problem. You might have brought in some grain, or you might have brought in some rice, or you might have brought in some, or if you have a field, sometimes you can get a house mouse problem in the garage or in the house. Very easy to take care of normally to get rid of that. And why worry? We started talking a little bit about the disease potential of rats. There we go, we got plague. As he was alluding to, we have done plague surveys in the county in the last 20 years. We tested some wild pigs, we tested some bobcats, coyotes, taking blood samples from them. We did find sylvatic plague in the county in the 1990s in the Gilroy area, of course my neighborhood. But basically out behind Coyote Lake out there, and we did a ground squirrel study in the lake in a reservation, or the area trapped ground squirrels. And somebody had a question later about ground squirrels. We trapped about 40-50 ground squirrels, did blood tests, no plague. So it's just in the wild pigs, and the thing. We haven't had plague in our county other than that that we need to worry about. Leptospirosis, salmonellosis. Basically, the feces and the urine of the rats, if they're in your kitchen, if they're on your kitchen counters, they're urinating, defecating on the counter, and then you prepare your food, that's how you can possibly get sick. So what you want to do is obviously make sure they're not in there, and clean your counters if they are. The other thing would be hantavirus. We do hantavirus studies as well. Usually in the white-footed deer mouse, we find it in some of the county. What we do is we go to some of the county parks, open space districts, some of their outbuildings. We'll trap the area. We'll do blood studies and check for hantavirus. We have found some hantavirus in the dusty-footed wood rat, as well as the white-footed deer mouse. But the roof rat and the nori rat we have not found. Damage to property, food from the gnawing, the urine and feces. This picture is an old picture on the top left of somebody's kitchen with the rats on the counters. I wasn't actually at that house, but I have been to a house that's similar to that. The older gentleman's son moved back in with his girlfriend and her kids and dog, and just made a mess of his house. And while I'm sitting there talking to him about how to get rid of his rat problem, the rat walked across the kitchen onto the counter to eat out of the open tuna can that his son left for a sandwich. And there were a couple other rats were running around the house. Droppings, other signs that you'll see, some roof rent and the mattress on the bottom right corner. People store mattresses outside their homes. The rats, thank you for that. Other gnawings and chewings. Places to hide or enter the home. The top right picture is just basically overgrown brush. If you have overgrown landscaping or brush, my rule of thumb when I go to somebody's house is, if you can see into it, they're not going to be comfortable living into it. So if you have junipers, or you have ivy, and you can see into it, they're not going to be as comfortable living there. There's not going to be as much shelter for them. The tree growing up against the roof on the bottom left offers obvious access to the house, the roof line. If there's any access points, which I'll go over a little bit more here in more detail, then that, you're making it basically easier for them to get into your house. You're basically giving them a walkway. The bottom right picture is a pipe coming out of a vent screen. Looks like somebody replastered their house, and the vent screen's not normal size, but basically that's an invitation to rats as well. Okay, attic vent screens. Basically, attic vent screens are right in your eaves. You have a vent screen. Sometimes the phone company's nice and comes over and they add a line through your vent screen, and they cut a 3-inch hole for a 1/4-inch wire, and then the rat thanks them. If you look over in the bottom right-hand corner, where the phone line, or there's a phone line coming in the top here, and you'll see a little bit of black markings on the wire going up in the right side. That's basically rub marks from rats climbing onto there. And then in the left corner, it's a little shaded, but there's a hole in that, and you can actually see where it says roof rat. There's a little bit of a rub mark right above that, where it was going into the attic of this house. Yeah. Foundation vent screens are the vent screens that are down by the bottom of your house if you have a crawl space. I mean, this one's an obvious one, where the hole goes in. You've got the little step right there next to it. They can go right in. A lot of times, same thing, phone company, cable company, guy installing your air conditioner. They cut a hole bigger than they need. Or somebody just trying to get into the window of the house and they kick the vent screen in. You want to check these periodically. Sometimes your house is 20, 30 years old. The vent screen starts to get weathered. It gets a lot softer. It gets brittle. And you need to replace them sometimes. Or pipes in there like water heater closets, or the gas meter. Sometimes, I don't know if anybody in Los Altos have an Eichler home, or know what an Eichler home is. It's one of those cement slab, flat roof house, and the only place for, every time I walk to a house that has rats, I walk right to the back corner by the master bedroom, go where the utility closet is, where the electrical meter's at, in that box, and that's about, between that and the garage is the only place to get into those homes. overlapping roof lines. This is where the framer comes and frames your house when he's building it, and then or she, and the roofer comes and puts the roof up, and the plasterer comes and puts the plaster up, and everybody leaves this nice little half-inch, 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch hole in the corner. If you look where the roof lines come across, and then the other tires coming across, and it makes like a little triangle. Some people call it a bird's nest. Basically what happens is I've had raccoons going through people's attics through that, and like a nice little one like that, and then you go back there, and the plaster or the lather didn't put it all the way back, and there's a nice hole going like at a 90-degree angle. You just screen that off, no rats going into the attic. I ran this other thing that didn't do it. There you go. Tile roofs aren't as much of a problem anymore because now when you build a new home you have to put a sheeting down, which is plywood on your roof. Back in the days, probably when this house was built, there was like 1x4 slats, and then the tiles basically hook onto it. So you got the nice hoop going over in the tile. The rat can go right through that and have access straight to the attic. I mean, the rain doesn't normally bend and go up the other way, so it's not having water damage, but at the same time you're having rats or squirrels going into your attic. Tile roofs with sheeting underneath them can still be a problem if it's nice and a big round like old Spanish style, and there's not capped off at the end. They'll build like a little nest right there, and then just live right there. Birds, the same thing. I'm not a big tile roof fan. They're pretty, but I wouldn't want rats. What are rooms looking for? Obviously the same thing we're looking for, food. Top left corner is basically ivy and junipers. Snails love that, other insects love that. Rats will forage around through their nest in there. You'll find the empty snail shells with the tops of them bitten out, eaten out, hollowed out. They'll eat the snail right out of it. It's the ones that came from France, I guess. The bottom where the dog's eating the dog food. You know, people used to call our department all the time about raccoon or skunks coming into my crawl or my dog door opening. What do? Close the dog door opening. It's the rats. All animals, they learn to adapt. I've seen videos. You can go on YouTube, see videos of raccoons coming through the doggy door and eating out of the dog food, going through the kitchen, opening the cabinets. There's a neat one I saw the other day where raccoon's above the cabinet with a hole that he tore in the wall, and he's reaching down, opening the cabinet, taking out crackers and other stuff out of the cabinet, and then going back out. And the guy's just standing there videotaping the raccoon. Doesn't really care. So basically, animals, the more comfortable they get with us, obviously, like a raccoon normally wouldn't do that unless he's born and raised in town, right? Same thing with rats, same thing with every other possum and stuff. They get used to us, they get more comfortable to us. You know, you read about things like put human hair out and it'll keep the squirrels out. Well, they're living in a house with humans, they already smell us. They know what the human hair smells like. We shed as well. So it doesn't work. Basically, eliminating the food, taking the dog food in at night when the animals are out looking for it, putting in a container that they can't get into. If it's Rubbermaid, they can chew through that, rats can. So you want to use something like a galvanized trash can. That's what I use for my dog. And she's learned to open it. In the middle picture, right there, we have a bird feeder, and we have like an old phone that's a squirrel feeder. That's also a rat feeder. Bird seed and squirrel seed. Actually, what was the lady's name? It was Kay something that gave us the brochure. Bushnell, thank you. The one thing that she wrote in there got rid of the bird seed. It's cute to feed the birds. It's cute to feed the squirrels. If you're feeding 10, 20, 30 squirrels, or you're feeding, you know, a flock of birds, animals aren't like us. They're a little bit smarter. They don't commute. So when you create a food source like that, they're going to live close to that. So you're going to create a problem for your neighbors as well as you. They're going to live wherever they found a broken bed screen, wherever they found an attic space. You've got a shed in the backyard, a deck in the backyard, any place that they can live, they're going to take up residence close. Once you get more rats, once you get more squirrels, once you have more birds, you're going to have more possums, you're going to have more skunks, you're going to have more raccoons. Because they'll go eat off their nests and they'll go eat off of that. So then you're messing with the whole food chain. Was that Lion King, right? That circle of life. So don't overfeed. I mean, if you want to feed a few, clean up at night, and we put some birdseed away at night, and then you're not going to offset the balance more than we've already offset the balance by building our homes and stuff. Same thing with fruit. The oranges in the top right, peaches, apricots, plums, avocado. We love avocados. We're definitely California rats. Pick your fruit, harvest your trees. Tomatoes, they love tomatoes. Oranges, they don't like lemons and limes as much. I don't know why, but they'll eat them if that's all they have. But basically, if you see something like this, I mean, the picture of the two oranges can almost be a little deceptive, because if you see an orange or you see some fruit like that, like an apple per se, where it's hollowed out like that, it might be a bird, or it might be a possum as well. You can tell a rat because they're going to have, they got the two front teeth, and they got the two bottom teeth, and when they're biting, you'll see like a little line. You can see like two little tooth marks gnawing all the way around it, and a little edge, and of course they don't have the orthodontia, so there's a gap or it's a little missing, and so it's a little off. So they're gonna, you're gonna be able to tell that it's a rat eating it, or somebody else you can call come out will tell you it's a rat. Garbage cans, keeping them up off the ground is not as important for rats. It helps, but keeping them sealed is the more important problem. I mean, if you had like that rack for your trash cans, and you had that rack like 3 inches off the ground, then that would be perfect for rats, because they would just live under there. As soon as you leave the lid open, they'd climb right up and eat that food. Plants that rats love, like I said earlier, with the junipers and the ivy, with the bamboo, or with anything else, if you can't see them in there, they're going to like it, because they're going to feel safe and they're going to feel secure. Also, there's going to be a lot of snails and a lot of other food for them in there. So keeping your landscaping to where you can see into it. Like junipers, I see a lot of people that kind of trim them and make them more look like bonsai plants. I mean, it looks really nice, and the rats don't like that. So I usually suggest that oleanders, jasmine, anything that grows real thick. You want to try and keep it away from the buildings, keep it away from the ground. Here's some signs of rodent infestation. The top left is a pipe, like an ABS pipe, that they basically chewed through. That could have possibly been like there was a break, and then that Nori rat probably chewed through that sewer line. And on the top right is the top of a fence, the 2x4 that goes across the top. Basically, you'll start noticing snail shells, you'll start noticing little leaf debris, you'll start noticing droppings through there, and that's a little sign of activity along the fence line. The middle picture is some of the rat droppings. Bottom right is a better Vin-screen picture than I had earlier, where you see the rub marks, you see where possibly the air conditioner guy cut the hole bigger than he needed. On the bottom left, some orange that's been hollowed out, and then there's some other. If you look at the picture up close, there's some snail debris in there, and there's also some droppings in there. And of course, there's that kitchen picture getting a little closer up. None of you have a kitchen like this one. So who's responsible for the... You're going to want to call a private pest control company or a handyman or something to help you to do the exclusion work. And then we'll also show you the trap. We're more for the trapping than the bait, which I'll get into more. You'll see some methods, like I said, poisons and baits. Not a big fan. That's basically usually what you do when you poison or you bait them. You kill 5, 6, 7, 8 rats. And you're thinking, oh good, no more problem. 6 months later, hey, got rats again, I'll put more poison out. Well, you didn't solve the problem, you didn't do the exclusion, you didn't eliminate the food, you're constantly going by poison. So it's a lot easier just to do the exclusion and eliminate food sources and naturally reduce the population. You don't have to do anything after you do that, because you're going to reduce the population because the carrying capacity is less. Glue boards. Neck glue board. I'm not a big fan of glue boards unless you want to catch insects. That glue board right there, that's a tail left on there. I've gone to people's houses, looked at the glue board, and you can see where, we talk about rats eating fruits and nuts and everything. Well, rats will eat other rats too. And so I've seen them cannibalized on glue boards by the other rats. Live traps work good. They're easy to catch them. Only problem is now you have to humanely euthanize them. So that's the nice thing about snap traps. Everybody always wants to build a better rat trap, and I think it was Mr. Cooper. Did you bring that other trap, or?
Yes, I've got another.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. There's a new trap. It's a plastic trap. I guess you can show it.
I'll leave that here on the table.
Yeah. It kind of comparable to the snap trap. It's easier for you to set. You don't have to worry about your thumb getting broken, or I've gotten mine bruised a couple times. Twice in 19 years I've got caught in one of those. I learned quick. Basically, what you want to do, I apologize for these pictures. I'm not making names. But basically the traps on the top, the reason there's an X on the top left one is because the bait is next to the bait. So how's the rat going to come there? If he's walking along the wall, he's going to hit with the trigger part, or the wire coming over to snap him. He's just going to get slingshot and catapulted across the room. He's not going to get by. Then the other top one on the left, the bait's away from the wall. Well, rats are nearsighted. A lot of people freak out. The rat just sat there and stared at me. Right? How many people have had a rat just stop there and stare at them? Well, they're sitting there, they're kind of smelling, they're like, did something move? And you just froze because you're like, oh no, there's a rat. And so he's like, did that tree just move? And he's like, trying to look like Mr. Magoo at you, and thinking, trying to smell, and the wind's coming at you, then he's not going to smell you, and he's going to start walking around and thinking, oh, that was a bold rat. But they just can't see. And so very well. So what they like to do is they like to run along the wall, because then they only have to worry about predators, left side. They don't have to worry about on this side. So if you set your trap, like in the middle picture, where the bait is towards the wall and perpendicular, or in the top picture on the right, where it's perpendicular, you have a chance of catching them coming either way. If you set it like the one on the top right, far right, I would rather say do two traps and have one coming and one going like it is on the bottom left. The reason for that is you're going to catch them either way, and you're not going to get them a fun ride with a catapult, like I said earlier. There's different ways to set traps on fences. Like they did on the chain link here. I'm not a big fan of putting them on the fence, because you're going to hit, you're going to get birds. You're going to get, possibly a tree squirrel or something. And some of you might be like, I had a tree squirrel. But they're also protected. And certain species, you can get depredation permits from Fish and Game for that, but it's still not the way to kill them or catch them. When it's in your rafters or in your attic, nailing them, like in your garage, for example, you got them running around. We got all your boxes stored, and you had them in cardboard boxes, and they soiled your quilt or whatever else is up there, Christmas stuff. And you can just nail them under the trigger, right there, where they're falling underneath, like where the joist and everything's coming out of the rafter. And when they swing underneath there, boom, you've got them hanging right there. And the bottom right corner, you see somebody put a board over so a bird won't land on the trap. I'm still not a big fan of that, because you're still going to catch something you don't want to catch. If you maybe made a box, like a cardboard box, or not cardboard, a wood box, and made like a little hole, like a bait station concept, put snap traps in there, and then set them out in places, then you're going to be more likely, because you have small holes for the rats to go through, put a little bit of peanut butter around there, get them to get all excited, eat that peanut butter for free, then they'll start going into your box, and they'll start having dead rats inside the box, and you won't have dead birds. Baits for on your traps. Peanut butter works good with oatmeal. For the roof rat, it works for the Roy rat as well. Fruit, vegetables, crackers, cheese, and what's not in there is like bacon, which meats for the Roy rat. Like I told you earlier, they love avocado. Fish, vegetables, and cereals. What also works, how many people have set a snap trap out, had them lick the peanut butter off, and the trap didn't go off? That's about everybody that's tried, right? If you take like a cotton ball or you take like a piece of old material, and you take a string and you tie that on there, under the trigger, and then you put peanut butter on there. When they lick that peanut butter off, they get all excited, they got some nesting material, and then they sink their teeth into it, and their head's right there when the trap goes off. Not that I like them, but... So how do we prevent rodents? We thin our vegetation. We also remove possible food sources, pick the fruit, harvest it, put the dog food away, put the cat food away at night. Bird feed, if you love to feed the birds, take some bird seed in. The birds aren't usually out at night, right? So take the bird seed or cover it up. It's hard to clean up because they're kind of messy ears. You feed the squirrels, same thing. Feed everything inside at night. Keep the lid on the garbage cans. Close all openings larger than a quarter inch. I think somewhere else I saw in the brochure that was handed out a dime. Same thing, as long as you can't fit a dime in there. And stacked wood, which I haven't talked about, 18 inches above the ground, 12 inches to 3 feet away from the walls. I've seen plenty of rats with nice little double stacked wood, little piles. Go in there and remove the wood, and all of a sudden you got the rats running out. It's kind of funny catching that one. So if you'd like to contact us, I've got our number up here. I also have, what I'll put out after the meeting is I've got a brochure. It's a blue one page that has our information on it. It tells you what vector control can do for you. It has a list of the brochures that we have available. You can just call our number and we can mail them to you. We make some of them available online at our website. And then there's also some phone numbers of other county and city agencies on here that can help you with other stuff possibly. And then I'm also going to have, I don't know if I have enough for everybody, but I brought a rat brochure, which basically has a lot of information that just went over here. And because I know everybody here loves to read, and everybody loves Western novels, I got to fight to bite bookmarks for everybody, especially if you got grandkids or children. And it tells you what to do, how to drain, how to get rid of what to look out for with mosquitoes like dust and down, use some beat if you want. And then on the back it's in Spanish, but it's in English on the front. So that's all I have.
Great. I know we have a bunch of questions here. We'll keep them short, so we'll have more of a period at the end of it, because I think Richard's going to bring some more interesting information on this front. A couple of questions, though, from the back. I see a whole bunch of hands at the back. How about the lady right over here? Yes?
So I'm a little confused. You're talking about exclusion, talking about getting rid of food source.
Right.
You talk about the trapping, you're bringing a rat to your house, and you're being inhumane. And I don't understand why you would put food out when you're saying exclusion is the best way to do it.
Correct. Well, basically what I'm suggesting is that let's say you do the exclusion, and you eliminate the food source, and you still have them in your attic, or you still have them underneath your house.
And you don't have a good exclusion that way.
No, but you don't. When you do the exclusion, how do you know that you got everything out from underneath your house, or how do you know you got everything out from the attic before you sealed the house? What I suggest is we put the traps out in the attic or underneath the house to make sure you got everything out, and the only rats that you euthanize are the rats that were still in the home. Otherwise, they're going to die in your wall and stink, and they're going to suffer.
But you didn't say that. So
You're right. You're correct. You're correct.
Thinking that
I know. You're correct. I missed that point. Thank you for bringing it up.
people look like they really want to kill rats around.
Okay.
Sandy in the back. Yeah, just pick it up, Sandy. Sorry.
Underground part of the creek behind our backyard, under the road, and the development across the street. We never had roof rats until after the underground. And they were coming up through the culvert into our house. They were huge.
Yeah.
We never ever had a problem with them prior to that time. Do they live in the culverts or under in the pipe?
They can. I mean, yeah, any place where they're going to have food, shelter, obviously. Sometimes, you know, I get exactly what you're saying. That I go in like neighborhoods also, like in Willow Glen. You know, he was earlier talking about the roof rat populations in Los Gatos, Saratoga, Los Altos. Willow Glen will push everybody's numbers up because it's a nice old neighborhood that's been around for a long time. And I go to somebody's house. I've lived here 30 years, and the first time I've had rats, the whole time I've been here, was when that guy moved in next door and put that fruit tree. Well, number one, when there's no mailer that goes out to the rats and says, here's where the shelter's at. Here, I know. And so what happens is that as the population becomes more and more established, it expands. Because the younger rats aren't as strong as the older rats. And so what could have happened in your situation is they expanded out to that culvert area, and then all of a sudden they found your house. And then if there's a possibility where there's a possible wood pile, or there's like a broken fence screen that they possibly found, or any kind of shelter that they found, it could have been correlated with that because there could have been a population there that got disrupted, and then they came to your house. But the key is finding out what they like about your house, and then trying to figure out how to eliminate that, feasibly, and then that'll reduce the population back down again.
There's always been orchards in the area.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until we closed the three couple of creeks closed for subdivision.
Right.
That they started doing.
Yeah, and their habitat was disrupted. They were living somewhere nearby, and then that's what caused the everything.
Any other questions? There's one over here on the left user.
Yeah, usually I've seen black droppings, and just recently I've seen brown droppings. So my question is, could the color of the roof rats droppings, are they different, or are they different
Are they
species?
the same shape, the droppings? Or
They're pretty much the same shape, but the brown ones are a little bit larger.
a little bit larger, blunt? Kind of?
Yeah,
It could be squirrels too.
could be squirrels.
Yeah.
Could roof rats have brown droppings?
Yeah, it depends a little bit on diet. I mean, if they're eating something, it's like if somebody was poisoning them, all of a sudden you see green droppings. If you're using green bait, sometimes you'll see them.
Do any of those things like the sound machines work? And then there's some things in here about spearmint oil and mothballs and all that stuff.
Actually, if you can touch on that in the next, I'm going to hold off on that for the next speaker if that's okay, because
Oh.
we have other solutions too. So
Oh.
if you don't mind, we'll come back to that. If you don't answer it then, we'll come back to you then. Any questions? Gentlemen?
As far as I know, my rats use my house as shelter, not for food. Is there any way to time the exclusion process so you can catch them when they're out foraging and not have to do the traffic?
Yeah, it's not going to be guaranteed 100%, but they're usually roaming around at night looking for food. So if you've got some lighting or something, I don't know, they get jumped. But I have a little joke I kind of tell people sometimes. If you put works for raccoons, you put I'll keep it neutrally politically, I won't say what I usually say. But if you put a talk show host on or something like that, it kind of drones on and on, and put it up there during the evening when they're up there, or during the day when they're trying to sleep. Sometimes that'll kind of deter them.
A lot of punchlines from that one. Let's see, this lady right here.
Do you have any suggestions for compost piles? I have a huge number of big trees, and trying to be good ecologically, but I'm trying to have this giant compost pile out there, and obviously what I'm doing is providing food for lots of them.
Actually, the brochure that was handed out earlier on I think it's the second page, last paragraph, she screened off her compost to keep them from having access into it, so that the compost is in there, and also keeping it hot, turning it a lot. Well, also, it's a lot of work, but yeah.
Duffy's back.
How many people here in attendance tonight have a rat problem?
Okay, let's go to our third speaker, and we'll have some more questions at the end. And,
Can we cover ground squirrels?
are we going to mention ground squirrels at all?
I'm not.
He's not going to, so,
Want me to say something real quick?
what about ground squirrel?
Real fast on ground squirrels, like I talked earlier about trapping them at the county parks. Ground squirrels, there's not really any, same thing with the harborage and same with the food source, because it's usually they're going to be in an area that is natural, and that's where they live, in nature. If you want, it's illegal to do this. You can either set traps. I like when we were doing the study for the plague, live traps work really good. What I like to do is I kind of build a little burrow into the ground with a live trap, and I cover it in cow pastures with a cow patty because then nobody's going to really step on it and bother your trap. And then I wire it open for about a week, let them eat out of the trap, to like it's a food source. And then you set the trap at that time to catch them, and then you can catch them pretty fast. County parks, they use a system that basically, you know, like a meter box or a valve box that you use for your sprinkler manifolds or sprinkler controls into the ground, and then there'll be like a tube that comes out, and they bait there to do that, and they sometimes trap it. Sometimes if they have an overabundance where it's damaging the roads or if it's damaging the campsites. But it's a lot of work no matter what you do with ground schools. There's no easy solution.
This is important. I just want to thank Vector Control because on 2 occasions you came to my home and the last time you empowered me to set my own trip. And it helped. And he showed me what to do. He was an Asian guy.
Paul is?
I think it was Paul.
Okay. I'm his supervisor, folks. I'm good
Oh,
job.
yeah. He was very, he was nice.
That's great to have a positive story there. One short question here.
Yeah, it appears that, at least in the ground school population around our place, it goes in cycles. And it started in one little part in somebody's property, usually in an open field.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're just being inundated by them. I mean, hundreds of ground squirrels have migrated from this one location. What do you do about something like that? I mean, they're just eating everything.
Yeah, and with ground squirrels, they're going to breed in the spring and early summer, and then the population's going to boom when the juveniles go out on their own. So if you start a program where you're doing something like I was suggesting, like set up a permanent trapping area or a permanent baiting area, because you know it's getting harder and harder to get bait for ground squirrels. But then you can do like a baiting station, and you can do a maintenance. So if you kind of control it now at this time of year when it's booming, and then start it early spring before they reproduce, then the population's not going to be as large later in the season.
But it seems like the whole neighborhood has to get together.
Correct.
Me and my property aren't going to stop them. They're flowing in from everywhere.
Yeah.
Is there something that's changed in their environment that's led to this large growth in population?
Not enough predators.
Yeah.
The Los Altos Hills environment has changed a great deal. Over the last, 40 years, the number of ground squirrels has gone up dramatically.
I like the deer.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the rest of the questions for after our last speaker. To give him enough time. This is actually